Hey, welcome to week 3, Monday lecture for sections 1 and 2. So section 3, this is not for you. You still have to come to class, so sorry. This week we were talking about rights and responsibilities and community. So just one housekeeping note before we start. Remember that you're taking a pause on that Career Center email because we were still waiting for the list of career coaches from the Career Center. So once we get that list, we will get it to you, get you your name, and get you a new due date. So do not be stressing about that. We will get that ASAP as soon as we can. So anyway, today we're talking about rights and responsibilities and what it means to be a member of a community. So whether you realize it or not, when you chose the University of North Texas, you chose to be a part of a community. And that is a community that has rights, it has responsibilities, it has rules, it has policies, it has members, all of those good things. So we're going to talk about what it means to be here, be at UNT, and be in this community. So to start with, we're going to do some definitions. So according to Merriam-Webster, we're going to do this if it would. There we go. According to Merriam-Webster, this is the definition of a community. So unified body, pretty easy to explain. I think the one that is interesting for me, particularly in regard to a university community, is that number one, you have common characteristics for the most part, at least some in common. You all have different backgrounds and really cool previous experiences, but you at least have some common characteristics. And then you have this interest in doing the same thing. So right now your common interest is obtaining a college degree. I'm going to take off my bracelet because I don't know if you can hear it jangling. Your common interest is obtaining a college degree. Joint ownership or participation is another one that, like, of course you get to choose at which level you engage with this UNT community. And for those of you that are distant, it's a little even more tricky to find that level of engagement. But joint ownership and participation are also very important. So then we're going to talk briefly about some characteristics of a strong community, and this was done by Penn State's Extension Center. So, and they talk about it like the right to belong and feel welcomed. So you have the right to belong in this community, and you have the right to feel welcomed. Like that is one of our tenets to you, or one of our promises to you as someone who joined our community. Voice, you have a right to feel like what you matter or what you say matters, and that you're appreciated, so that you're a valuable member of our community. We need to be meeting all of your needs, so your basic needs, whether your needs are food with Union Feed, different food options, or it's housing because you live in Rollins Hall, Bruce Hall, wherever, Kerr Hall, and social interaction, which is probably the one that we're honestly not doing the best at meeting right now because of COVID, but we are trying. And then a shared emotional connection. So for instance, last Tuesday, it was raining really hard and people were walking across campus to rain and everybody was miserable. And like misery is a shared emotional connection, that you are feeling something as a group together because you're all miserable because your feet are wet, you're cold, you don't want to be in class. So that shared emotional connection. And to be honest, which is not great, a lot of times you build a greater connection via less positive emotions than you do so then you're like super positive, happy things. So a lot of times strife and trial are what will really build your community. Granted, I hope none of you experience that, but we do better as humans bonding over a shared dislike than we do bonding over a shared like. So it's a lot of words on a screen, which is not my preference, but so we're going to go over what UNT is, because this is what we're telling you, or we told you before you chose to attend UNT, that we are. So we're a major public research university. We're deeply committed to advancing educational excellence and preparing students to become thoughtful, engaged citizens of the world. So we're going to accomplish this through a broad and balanced array of programs that we're well prepared. So we're well-prepared students and dedicated scholars and artists collaborate with our local and global communities in the creation, integration, application, and dissemination of knowledge. One of the other major tenets at UNT is that we are a caring community. They did a bunch of focus groups with students, let them keep saying, what is UNT? And caring was the one that came up the most often. So know that when you chose to join UNT, you chose to join a caring community. And a caring community sometimes looks like saying, hey, you don't have on a mask. Do you need one? Because I can tell you where to get one on campus, and make sure it covers your nose and your mouth. That is an example of being a caring community, as well as something called operationalizing your organizational values. So we are that, and you are a part of that. There's not, yes, we employ faculty, we employ staff, we have UNTPD, we have conduct, we have all of those things, people who are here to help enforce things, but really it's you all, students, as members of the community that determine what the community looks like. So you determine the community's norms, the values, what it means to be a member of this community. You are, whether you know it or not, the most powerful people on campus. It's not the president, it's not the provost, it's not UPC, it's not NT40, it's not whoever, it's you all as students. So if you want to affect real change, it starts with you. So that's another reason why we feel like it's so important for you to know about your rights and responsibilities as a member of the UNT community. So we're going to take a moment to reflect on your rights as a member of the UNT community, about 30 seconds. We will wait. Sarah and I can wait. Take your time, well, 30 seconds of time to think about this, and we will rejoin you in just a few minutes. And I guess the proverbial we, she won't appear on screen, so it's me right now. So I will rejoin you. Okay, I'm back. So what did you come up with? So things that come to mind for me are that you have a right to a safe learning environment. You have a right to an education. It doesn't mean you have a right to how the education is delivered, but you do have a right to that education. Other things that come up are you have a right to a grievance process, as we've already talked about in the first on the syllabus day. So all of those things kind of came up for me. I don't know what came up for you all. If you want to share them in the discussion board, just to remind you, have a discussion board as well for your classes. So if you have questions or having trouble with the homework, the discussion board is a great place to start before you reach out to professors. But also you can start a discussion board thread about what are your rights as a member of the UNT community. So we'll see what does UNT say some of your rights are. So what are your rights? Like I said, you have the right to expect a quality education. That could be online, that could be in person. All we're saying is you have a right to that experience. You have the right to a classroom environment that's free of obvious hazards of safety and security. So, you know, you have a right to be in a place that has egress routes to where you wouldn't be trapped in a fire. You have a right to be in a place that has sprinklers, as I'm looking up at mine, that would help put out a fire should one occur. So you have a right to those things. You have a right to pursue an education without disruption or interference by people who are violating your norms of your community. So whatever is disrupting. So you have a right to not be in class with someone who's disrupting your learning environment. It doesn't mean you have the right to be in class with someone who doesn't make you uncomfortable. It doesn't mean any of those things, but it does mean that if someone is consistently disrupting the teacher, the professor, the whoever's teaching, or is stalking, harassing, whatever, in any way then you have a right to be an environment, a learning environment free of that. You have the right to learn where diversity is respected. So this is something that Sarah and I feel very passionately about, that we want our classrooms to be a place where diversity is respected. We want the whole university. So if it's not, there are also processes for you to go to report those things. So you have a right to be where diversity is respected. You have, we've already said it earlier, the right to file a grievance with the university. And then this one is good. Excuse me, you have the right to be free from hazing, threats, stalking, violence, and other harassing activities. To be honest, we could keep going. There's an entire, if you Google like UNT student rights, there's an entire webpage dedicated to this. So as a member of this community, you do have rights. We're going to talk a bit about your responsibilities. So we're going to wait again, take some time, reflect, figure out what your responsibilities are as a member of the community. So once again, waiting, I'll give you 30 seconds-ish to do this. Okay, and we are back. So responsibilities that come to mind is that you have a responsibility to self-police, if you will, your community. So you have a responsibility to address people who are breaking policy, breaking rules, not being productive members of your community. You have a responsibility to be an active participant in your classes. If we have a right, or if you have a right to a learning environment, then you also have a responsibility to respond to that learning environment. So let's see what responsibilities UNT says you have. So once again, I said this just a minute ago, that you have the responsibility to preserve conditions and protect conditions of learning. So, and to withhold, this is a hard one, withhold judgment on matters of opinion. We don't excel at that as humans. And to ensure that like you're hearing out other people's viewpoints, which is also not something that like super great at, but just know that that's something that UNT says like you need to do. You need to be respectful. You need to have all of those things. So of course, you are responsible for compliance with university rules and regulations. So you have a student conduct manual or a student handbook that's chock full of like all these policies. And it's not super fun reading. As someone who used to work as a conduct officer, I can tell you that it's not super fun reading. But it's the university saying, here's what we expect of your behavior. So it's out there whether you choose to engage with that, that manual or not. You're responsible for respecting diversity and behaving courteously to faculty members and other students and staff. It doesn't say it in here, but staff is included, regardless of a difference in race, creed, color, religion, age, nationality, sex, sexual orientation, or disability status. So we're saying like, you have to be a good person. You have to be kind. You have to be respectful. You have to give, people, treat humans as humans. And we expect that of you because we are a caring community. So you can't disrupt class, just as you have the right to a disruption-free learning environment. You have a responsibility to not disrupt other people's learning environments. This is also a hard one for a lot of us. Accepting responsibility for decisions and actions is a big one. Like you're responsible for your decisions and your actions, even if the outcome was different than what you expected. So that intent versus impact thing, that your intent is important, but your impact kind of matters more. So be aware of that when you're making decisions of what you're going to do. And then you have this responsibility to like explore extracurricular activities to facilitate academic achievement and experience. So we expect you to get involved beyond the classroom. We encourage you to get involved beyond the classroom, not only because it makes you more marketable in the job market or the grad school market, but because that's where you're going to learn, grow in your worldview. You're going to learn from others. You're going to get to facilitate and grow in your leadership qualities and skills. So quickly about responsibilities there. So once again, we're going to hit why we want you to care, which I kind of opened with this anyway, I opened this lecture with. So students are the most powerful people at UNT, like you are. I can, or another administrator can, or a faculty member can, scream until we're blue in the face about something that we don't like that's happening on campus, when the truth is, it just takes a few groups of organized students to say, hey, we don't like this. And that's where the real change occurs. So you are very powerful, don't forget it. Said it already, UNT is a caring community. You'll hear the president say it a ton. So to show care, you have to know what is expected from your community and to know what your community expects from you. So that's why we just went through these things, and because it's important to operationalize organizational and personal values. So we can sit here and say till we're blue in the face that we're a caring community, but if you all as students don't operationalize that, so if you're not practicing and showing people that they're part of a caring community, then it's just lip service and it doesn't mean anything. So we need you to operationalize our organizational values, just like we try to do as staff. So we try to be caring in all of these different ways, or we try to provide a safe learning environment in all of these different ways. And you all also need to meet us in doing those things. So that's the end. Short, sweet, to the point. There will be a quiz to take following this, so remember that. Also, to pass that quiz, you're going to need to review the things in the materials and resources. So in there is a couple different, or I think 3 different links to some UNT sites. And then there's also a list of ways to operationalize organizational values. So make sure you review those before the quiz. You will need those answers or need that information. And then to also remember, I said take a pause on that Career Center email, step back from it for a minute. If you need us, Sarah and I are here. We will still have office hours on Tuesday and Thursday, or Tuesday and Wednesday, sorry. We'll still have office hours, so we will be around. Missed seeing you this Monday or this week, and we hope you had a great long weekend. So have a good day.